depend on you, Baela. Stay high and keep your distance.
I will be vigilant.
This week's episode of House of the Dragon is about cycles of violence and the futility of war.
You wouldn't dare.
I'm as fearsome as any of them.
May the seven guide you. Good night.
I thank your grace for her prayers.
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Apparently so.
It's the Brackens and the Blackwoods, yay, my favourite houses. We met these guys back in season 1. I know you remember this little kid, so don't lie to me.
And now a child.
These are the guys who had a little bit of a tussle over who doesn't get to marry Rhaenyra, because neither of them stand a chance, let's be for real. Anyway, they are back for another little tussle, except this time it is not little. The Brackens and the Blackwoods are ancient houses that have been fighting each other for as long as can be remembered. Sometimes it's for religious reasons. The Blackwoods worship the old gods, but the Brackens worship the faith of the Seven. Sometimes it's politics, but more often than not, it's just for the sake of it.
Put the boundary stones back.
This time around, it's because Aeron Bracken has a disagreement with this guy who is not Bloody Ben Blackwood. Sorry, book fans. This is Davos Blackwood. No relation. These teenagers basically use the war brewing in the Crownlands as an excuse to get bloody. Otto's rumour-mongering last episode has made its way to the Riverlands, and we get a glimpse into just how violent this conflict is going to be. There's been complaints about the Battle of the Burning Mill being off-screen, but cutting from a bunch of teenagers badmouthing each other to this silent ruin of a battlefield is really effective in my opinion. Would 5 minutes of sword fights really get the point across more?
You're both raven.
In the books. The Blackwoods are kind of good guy coded and the Brackens are very obviously the bad ones. But here it's the Blackwoods who actually instigate things and are a little bit argumentative and kind of start the fight, which is a cool departure from the norm. We don't know if Davos made it, but unfortunately Aeron is the first dead face we see. Killed with his own sword no less, which is extra sad given that he just got knighted and was showing it off proudly to his friends in the scene prior.
She passed away? Oh. Alright.
Meanwhile, on Dragonstone, Rhaenyra has the good graces to bury the twins together in spite of Jace, who thinks that Arik sullies his brother's grave. Jace is angry, maybe even more so than his mother. In spite of his obedience, he's clearly eager for action. They killed his brother and just tried to assassinate his mom, so honestly I get it. Rhaenyra, on the other hand, is still reluctant to jump to conflict, in spite of when they ate her son, or usurped her throne, or kept her father's death a secret, or sent assassins to kill her. I'll get into this later. Anyway, Rhaenys counsels her that Otto Hightower wouldn't have done this, that the brash young men must be taking control of this war, which is not a good thing.
It is not her, but the men around her who seek bloodshed.
Hey, Rhaenys, do you remember that time when you... Yeah, you're kind of one to talk when it comes to bloodshed. However, she does raise a good point about the futility of the war. The more time that passes, the less that people will remember why they were fighting to begin with.
It's easy enough. They usurped my throne. That's just one answer. Or was it when the child was beheaded? Or when Aemond killed Luke? Or when Luke took Aemon's eye?
You remember the Brackens and the Blackwoods from 1 minute ago? I mean, I hope so, but those guys have been in each other's throats for so long that the initial root of their conflict has been entirely lost to time. I'm starting to smell a theme brewing.
You can smell the shit from 5 miles away.
Sir Penis has been staring at a wall all morning because what the fuck else is he going to do with his free time? On his way to work, we see more green heraldry being put up. Is this bunting? Can we call this green bunting? Yeah, sure. Green bunting is being put up. It's probably making him think about Alicent, the poor guy. And in other fuck my life news, Aegon has appointed 3 new members of the Kingsguard without consulting him.
Good morrow, your grace.
I wonder if they all have a specific ball or if he got the worst one because he showed up late. I'm going to imagine that. I like Ironrods the most. What a vibrant blue.
You've appointed new knights to the Kingsguard, your grace, to replace those we lost.
Kingsguard check. Over in King's Landing, we have Lord Commander Penis Cole, Sir Rickard Thorne, who has been cast but hasn't shown up yet, in addition to Martin Rain, Eddard Waters, and Leon Estamont, who are all of Aegon's boys. There's also these 2 mystery Kingsguard. By process of elimination, one of them is Willis Fell, but the other one I don't know. And on Team Dragonstone, we've got Sir Laurent Marbrandt and Sir Stefan Darklim. And that's it. And in the bonus I don't fucking know corner is Sir Harold Westerling, who is somewhere. Okay, back to the video.
I call it war.
The small council are discussing the burning mill and what to do in the Riverlands. The idea of getting Lord Tully to wrangle in the Brackens and the Blackwoods onto one united side is suggested, but
Lord Grover Tully is a flaccid old fool who couldn't control his cock and a cunny.
Ironrod has had maybe 3 or 4 lines up until this point, and 2 of them have been about cocks and bosoms.
Or if there is a serpent nestled closer to our bosoms.
Jasper Ironrod is the new Master of Laws, and he's called that for the strength and firmness of his justice?
Remind me, which link in your chain denotes the
Without the Papa Patriarch of Otto Hightower to keep them in check, the small council kind of sucks. Kristen may have a fancy new Hand of the King necklace on his armor, but he's not very good at it.
What say you, my king?
Kristen plans to ride to Harrenhal with a small host and claim it for the Greens, in turn claiming the Riverlands, which wouldn't be an awful plan if it wasn't for Daemon thinking of it first and having a dragon. Speaking of Daemon, Aemond is playing with this coin throughout the meeting, and I bet it's the same one he found last episode that he's keeping as a memento mori of Daemon trying to kill him. He's such a fanboy, it's insane. Back on Team Black, Rhaenyra and Mysaria rendezvous. Mysaria was set to leave Westeros, but after helping save Rhaenyra's life by alerting the guards last episode, she's decided she'd like a place in her court. It's not official, but she's pretty much Team Black's Master of Whispers now, which is cool. Rhaenyra sends Rhaenys, this show is fucking stupid. Rhaenyra sends Rhaena off to the Vale with Lady Jane Arryn. Jane was promised a dragon in return for her allegiance, so Rhaenyra kind of slyly gives her the smallest one she can spare and sends her youngest children with them. Rhaena's dragon is yet unhatched, so she gets the exciting role of babysitter for the duration of the war, as well as convincing Jane Arryn to keep on side after Rhaenyra dumps a bunch of screaming babies and screaming baby dragons on her doorstep. As if Rhaena needed to draw an even shorter straw, after she's done in the Vale she gets to go back to Pentos, leagues away from any fighting and chilling in the house where her mother incinerated herself. Sucks to be you, Rhaena.
Tyraxes and Stormcloud are young and vulnerable. These eggs are even more fragile.
So at least in the show canon, these eggs are definitively Daenerys's. It's been confirmed after the fact by the director of the episode, so that's a cool connection, I guess. If you're wondering which egg belongs to which dragon, you have Drogon, Viserion, Rhaegal, and the blue one that we haven't seen before is Rhaena's dragon. Maybe we'll see them hatch, but given that Daenerys is... Ugh, what a nasty voice crack, I feel like a 15-year-old. Daenerys' dragons took 300 years to hatch, so don't be so sure. Next scene. Let's go check in on Daemon at Harrenhal.
Hey there, demons, it's me, your boy.
So Daemon is besieging Harrenhal by landing a dragon on top of it and just taking it, which to his credit works.
Can't be that easy.
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Okay. It's that easy.
I, Sir Simon Strong, Castellan of Harrenhal, pledge fealty to Rhaenyra of House Targaryen, first of her name.
This guy knew that sooner or later somebody would be coming through that door, and whoever it was probably has or is there on the behalf of someone with a dragon, which he does not have. Oh, I forgot to do the...
New character alert. New character alert.
So this is Simon Strong. He's the great uncle of Larys Strong. I would love to sit down and have dinner with him. I don't know what Daemon's doing. Eat.
I've survived many a battle. I do not mean to be felled by poison peas.
Okay, fair enough. There is a war happening. Going to Harrenhal really fucks with Daemon because he went there in a huff after his argument with Rhaenyra and definitely wanted to take his anger out in a battle, but all he gets is one good punch and a chance to interrupt somebody's dinner. To his surprise, Simon is completely compliant. He gives Daemon what he wants, but also he doesn't because he doesn't fight back. Oh, and the ghosts. There are ghosts in Harrenhal.
Daemon?
Stop calling it that.
Daemon!
Stop it. Stop talking to it.
No, I just want to talk to the demons.
Simon seems to sincerely hate Larys Strong for the whole... Yeah, fair enough.
So no, you will find no loyalty to Larys Strong here, my prince.
Your Grace.
So, this is treason.
I'd only assumed that as consort.
And we are reminded of the perilousness of assumption.
Daemon has no right to that title. He's the king consort, and I think he might even be the prince consort. I'm not sure for certain, but he's definitely not the king. Just like the Greens, he wants to unite the Riverlands and rally them to his side, summoning Lord Grover Tully to bring him onto Team Black, but Grover Tully...
grows frail. It's said that he can no longer speak, nor seal his bowels.
You get the impression that Simon would rather be doing anything else, and this kind of throws Daemon for a loop. All he knows is violence, and Simon just doesn't seem to be interested. He tells him that
sin begets sin. Sin.
You guys can smell this theme as well, right? I really love the long tracking shots that we get in this episode. There's one at Ulf's bar and Daemon gets a couple at Harrenhal. The director Geeta Patel also worked on Lord of the Tides, so yeah, bring her back please.
May I present my brother, Sir Hightower?
Team Green have employed another twink, welcome Gawain. He's Otto's youngest son and is a bit of a trust fund fuckboy. He passive-aggressively jabs at Kristen for taking his daddy's job and being common-born.
By a man from such modest beginnings.
Kristen was a base-born Dornishman who basically sleepwalked into the most prestigious position of office in the realm. So Gawain looks at him and just sees a poor person where a rich man should be. The rich man in question, of course, being his father.
Idiot!
Honestly, you can just look at this guy and kind of get the vibe. His horse is better dressed than me or anyone I know. That fuck-ass helmet is not doing him any favors though, and he needs to get it sorted out. Serpenus does a little rom-com flirting with Alicent out in the open like an idiot because his brain is full of sawdust. You can spot Laris in the background of this scene, and if he didn't know already, he definitely knows now. Incel rage is a terrifying thing to behold, and seeing his crush with someone else might have repercussions that neither Kristen or Alicent foresaw.
If dragons begin fighting dragons, we invite our own destruction.
The value of a sword is not within its scabbard.
The Black Council grows restless because Rhaenyra doesn't really have any armies yet. The North is marching, but they're far away. Jane Arryn hasn't been in an episode yet, and Daemon is still... he's working on getting the Riverlands on side. So they want to make the first move with dragons, but Rhaenyra reminds them that the threat of a dragon is enough. Like the Cold War in real history, dragons promise mutually assured destruction, and she doesn't want to be the first to push the button.
Perhaps it is time for you to think about secreting yourself somewhere safe.
Could you please leave so we could be in charge?
This council would do well to remember that their queen wears the crown of my grandsire, the wisest of Targaryen kings whose reign outlasted every other, even Aegon the Conqueror.
Jaehaerys is widely considered to be the best king Westeros ever had. He was notorious for avoiding war until such time when it was inevitable, so when Rhaenys invokes his name, it's basically to remind the council to shut the fuck up and listen to their queen. Shut the fuck up! A conqueror is not always the best ruler. She leaves to go be cute with Corlys, surprise surprise, and have a discussion about the Lord of the Tides and who is going to inherit that title. The current options are Joffrey Targaryen, who is basically a baby, and Rhaena Targaryen, who doesn't know how to sail and doesn't know how to fly a dragon. Baela also can't do it because if Jace becomes king one day, she's to be his queen. If only there was an additional claimant with expertise in seafaring and a diligent grasp of the Valyrian history and traditions of the house, but... guess not. The scene where Rhaenyra says goodbye to her kids is very sweet and tender. She was attacked in her own home, and there's nothing to say that that won't happen again, so it's a good call all around. Emma Darcy puts it better than I ever could.
The endless risk of losing one of your children, I think she perceives to be hideously compromising while she's in that grieving process. There's a decision to try and dislocate herself from her own motherhood.
Hey look, Helena finally smiled.
I feel sad about Jaehaerys. But I ought not to, I think.
HBO are continuing the trend of breaking my heart every time Helena's on screen. Watching her try and rationalize and deconstruct this awful situation that she's been thrust into is really upsetting.
Helena, I forgive you.
Helena is entirely aware. She may be different to everybody else, but she's capable of understanding the horrible things that have been done to her for her entire life. Skipping straight past anger and sadness straight to forgiveness manages to hit Alicent harder than any other response would have.
Valyrian steel. Worth more than a castle.
Aegon is wearing the armor of Aegon the Conqueror, his forebear, and it doesn't seem to fit. He holds all of the symbols of legitimacy from his namesake, the crown, the armor, the sword Blackfire, the name, but he isn't worthy of them, and I think he knows that too. Larys manages to talk him out of riding into battle because it's a bad idea, or at least he finally tells Aegon what he wants to hear. Aegon is surrounded by yes-men, and for Larys' counsel, he promotes him to Master of Whispers. Larys is now Varys.
A dragon seed must watch his own neck.
Ulf is back and claiming to be the bastard son of Balon the Brave. This would make him a half-brother to Daemon and Viserys. I'd be interested to see how that family reunion goes. While he's not really a valid claimant to the throne, Ulf may be able to claim a dragon, making him incredibly valuable. He seems to be pretty pro-Rhaenyra, which makes sense given his supposed half-brother is on that side, but he shits the bed a little bit when Aegon shows up, so we'll have to see.
All hail the king! All hail the king! Look at the size of that thing.
Did you fuck her like a hound?
In spite of how much he seems to hate them, Aemon's biggest bully was never Rhaenyra's kids, but his own brother Aegon. He shames Aemon in front of his friends, which is just no way to treat the guy who is flying your biggest nuke. You don't want to get a "don't come to the small council tomorrow" raven from this guy, so maybe don't antagonize him. I imagine he didn't bother getting his clothes and just walked home naked Cersei style. Speaking of ravens, Rhaenyra finally decides to read the letter that Alicent sent her. I think this is the moment where she decides that it'd be better to respond to this email in person.
Enemy drone incoming, starting the clock.
This scene is pretty fucking awesome. It looks like Moondancer might have spotted Cole first and signaled Baylor, which is a cool way to show off the bond between Dragon and Rider. The tiny specks that give them away are the sun reflecting off of their armor. I really appreciate how kinetic this chase feels. The sense of speed is fantastic, and it makes for a really tense sequence. Thumbs up. Gawain gets a micro arc this episode where he learns to appreciate Cole despite his prejudice.
Good shows, Kristen.
Jolly good show!
Just a quick side note, Gawain's actor Freddie Fox does an incredibly good, holy fuck it's a dragon face. He looks terrified. Under Jaehaerys and Viserys, this generation of men in Westeros haven't really seen much true war outside of the coastal fighting in the Stepstones. I think a lot of these guys are in for a scorching hot vibe check pretty soon.
To Kristen Cole. With some half-dozen other knights, I'm sure of it.
Baylor reports her findings to the Black Council. Since armies are coming, Lord Staunton leaves to defend his seat of Rook's Rest, which is in the firing zone for a potential battle.
Could you be certain it was Cole from such a great height?
It was not such a great height, Your Grace.
Daemon is leaving Harrenhal a 1-star Yelp review when he is rudely interrupted by a haunting vision. In this dream, he sees the young Rhaenyra sewing Jaehaerys' head back on. The version of Rhaenyra that idolized him and indulged his ways.
Always coming and going, aren't you? And I have to clean up afterwards.
I think this version of Rhaenyra saying these simple words to him is what finally makes him realize just how awful he's been.
You struck down a child.
It was a mistake.
When he wakes, we see that he's been stood next to a godswood tree, a waystone of the supernatural magic of the old gods. In the main book series, Jaime Lannister falls asleep on the stump of a godswood, and it gives him a very trippy and slightly prophetic vision, so something similar is likely happening here. Harrenhal is the largest castle in the realm, smack bang in the middle of Westeros, making it kind of a converging point for politics. It's where Jaehaerys held the Great Council to decide his next heir, however, it's also a converging point for magic. Next to Harrenhal is the mysterious Isle of Faces, where few stories ever escape. The island is full of weirwood trees, and the lake it resides in is ominously named the God's Eye. Point being is that Harrenhal is important. It's a nexus of all different kinds of power. People say it's cursed, and it very well might be. It's worth paying extra attention to any weird shit that happens here.
You will die in this place.
This is Alice Rivers. She's a bastard of House Strong, and she's very weird. We're going to be seeing much more of her later, so I won't give too many hints now, but keep an eye out for her and what she has to say. Rhaenyra seeks out her new best bud Mysaria to get her into King's Landing so that she can respond to Alicent's email IRL. She disguises herself as a scepter and has absolutely no problem at all getting into the city, with Steffan Darklyn escorting her to find Alicent alone in the Grand Sept. I've got mixed feelings on this scene. The contents of it are great. It's pretty wonderfully acted by Liv and Emma. The writing in a vacuum is very compelling, but it's just how we get here that kind of bugs me. Because Hot D is a TV show and not a book, I think they have an obligation to have characters always doing something, even if it doesn't really make sense in the confines of the larger narrative. Rhaenyra is constantly suing for peace, even though we've had 3 or 4 no turning back points by now. What happened to the rage? Season 1 ends with a promise, and Season 2 has taken its sweet, sweet time to deliver on it. I don't doubt that it'll be amazing when it does, but I feel like we've trod the same ground a little.
We watched the tourney together, you and I, the day my brother was born. We knew, even then, that men trained up for battle are eager to fight.
Rhaenyra tries to appeal to Alicent using their shared youth to springboard and sue for peace, but this is pointless. As Alicent says, the men are marching, the ravens have flown. So much blood has already been spilled that it's too late.
I swear this to you, on the memory of my mother.
I swear this to you, upon the memory of my mother.
This scene is chock full of great moments like this, but they don't serve anything. Alicent finds out that she misinterpreted Viserys' last words, but it doesn't change a thing.
The Conqueror.
The Green Council was already planning to usurp Rhaenyra with Aegon for years at this point. Even if she found this out half a season earlier, Alicent wouldn't be able to do anything. She doesn't hold any power. She can steer her children to an extent, but most of the things that have gone wrong because her children don't listen. They have their own bloodthirsty desires. I don't know, maybe I'm being harsh. This is still fantastic television, don't get me wrong, but I feel this whole sequence weakens Rhaenyra's character and makes her come off as a bit stupid. If you think about this for more than 20 seconds, it entirely unravels, and I think that's why they don't have a small council scene. Because her councillors would rightly tell her that that's a bad idea. It's such a huge risk for something that is a farce. I don't want to end the episode on a downer, so I'll just clarify again that the performances and a lot of the beats in this scene are fantastic. It doesn't ruin the episode by any means, but it does leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I'm going to give this a strong 7 out of 10. See you next week. Thank you for watching my video. If you made it this far, please consider liking, subscribing, all the, bullshit. Bye!